ladies and gentlemen, is going to be a new season of Go Battle League. It's going to be called Dual Destiny, which is a pretty cool name. But we're going to go over in this video 7 teams that I think are going to be good in the Open Great League. There's also another Great League. I think it's Fantasy Cup Great League Edition. We won't be going over that in this video, but maybe we'll go over it in another one. Yeah, so 7 teams, and before that we'll go into, I guess, the move changes. So if you've already seen that, you can skip that section. I'll put a link to when the teams start and sort of the trends that we're ending on the last season with. So let's go ahead and get into that. Alright, so here are the move changes. So basically all the fangs are getting energy generation increase. So Fire Fang, Ice Fang, Thunder Fang. Bulldoze is going to be a lot less power, a lot less energy cost, and the percent chance to reduce the opponent's defense by 1 stage. All the punches also getting increased power, which is actually pretty good for Hypno. So we'll see if Hypno ends up becoming or getting into the meta a little bit. So it's going to be Fire Punch, Ice Punch, Thunder Punch, and Thunder Shock. So move availability updates. So Dragalge is going to get Focus Blast, which is really interesting. Are we going to see that? So right now it's got Aqua Tail and Outrage. I don't know if this is kind of a weird one, but maybe you'll see it. This one you're going to see a lot of. Bibarel is getting access to Rollout. So we'll get into it after this. Gliscor is also getting the Fast Attack Sand Attack, which is a 1-turn move they gave to Hippowdon last season. It's going to be really good, to be honest. Starmie is going to learn Psywave. So Psywave is extremely good, but I feel like Starmie's just not good enough. And it's getting 2 buffs. It's actually getting Surf as well. So I'm not too sure we're going to see Starmie, but we're definitely going to see the others. So as far as trends for last season, and the reason we're going to see a lot of Bibarel this season is that last season we saw a lot of rollout users in Licky Licky and Dunsparce. Dunsparce specifically being used a lot, and Bibarel has access to the charge attack Surf. So it's going to be an even stronger version of a Pokemon against Feraligatr. So if you thought Dunsparce was really good against Feraligatr because you double resist Shadow Claw, Bibarel doubles resist Shadow Claw and resists Hydro Cannon as well as Ice Beam. So we might even see a change from Feraligatr using Ice Beam back to, although I don't think we will, but we might see them going back to Crunch. Alright, so best teams. I got the wrong logo in the back. We're just going to ignore that. It's going to be Open Great League here. We're going to go over the first team, and it's going to be Dunsparce with your safe swap of Drapion and then your finisher of Galarian Moltres. So not a big change here. Obviously, these Mon were used a lot last season. Drapion specifically was one of the best safe swaps. It's still going to be one of the best safe swaps. Nothing really changing in that regard. The only thing is, so technically Aqua Tail going to be a little worse against something like Bibarel, but still going to give it that extra coverage against everything else. This team is somewhat weak to Azu, but it's kind of fine, to be honest. It's not the worst matchup in the world for Dunsparce and Drapion, even though they both lose. They lose soft, and usually you're not going to have Azu plus something else to counter Galarian Moltres. So it's just about getting Moltres onto something good or having a shield advantage in the end and basically Brave Birding everything down. So some core breakers here. I think really the big ones, these are the 2 biggest ones, and they're going to be huge core breakers here because something like Quagsire's really good into Dunsparce. I think we had a video last season with Quagsire, and every time a Dunsparce came in, I remember saying, just if you see this, bring in the Mudboy. Mudboy is just going to dominate Dunsparce. Rollout, just resisted. Drill Run not doing enough damage. And then, obviously, Mudshot's super effective against Drapion, as well as Aqua Tail, going to be good enough. And you're going to actually end up coming out of that matchup with a decent amount of energy, like almost a full Aqua Tail extra. And then something that we saw trending at the end of last season as well. Did I go over the trending stuff? was Primeape. So Primeape and Annihilape trending at the end of last season. Stone Edge Clodsire trending at the end of last season as well. Clodsire is actually pretty good against this team as well. Not going to be great against the Dunsparce, but you can go for the Earthquakes. And then if it is Stone Edge, going to be very good against Moltres. Otherwise, not as great. So yeah, Annihilape obviously super effective into Dunsparce. Really, really horrific matchup. They resist rollout as well. And you'll live a drill run, which is when you're running them on that's very squishy like Primeape and you're able to live charge moves, that's when it's really bad. Also, just the Shadow Drapion is going to take a ton of damage from Karate Chop, especially if it gets boosted with the Rage Fist, which is probably what you're going to be able to get to. All right, second team here. It's going to be Shadow Feraligatr in the lead with basically the safe swap of Diggersby and then Alolan Sandslash in the middle. It can be Shadow, it can be non-Shadow, but probably want to be Powder Snow in this setup. So Shadow Feraligatr going to be good this season as well. Going to have to look out again for Bibarel. Is going to be very hard counter to a Shadow Feraligatr or Feraligatr in general. But everything else here is going to be pretty good. I think Diggersby also with an uptick in at least Pokemon play. I didn't necessarily see it too much at the end of Go Battle League. But it's going to be very good as a safe swap in this season as well. We also saw an uptick of Alolan Sandslash towards the end of last season. Maybe people not running as much fire. I know I haven't seen that many Talonflames, to be honest. I haven't seen Skeledirge in a minute. I didn't even remember Skeledirge until I just started talking about fire Pokemon right now. You see Typhlosion here and there. Very sparse, but Dunsparce. But yeah, not too much fire in this meta. Things you're gonna have to look out for is Pangoro and really the dark types in general, because they're gonna be resisting the Shadow Claws and then gonna be neutral against Diggersby. And then specifically Pangoro is going to be very good against this team, like insane. The only reason I'm showcasing this team when there's such an insane mon against it is Fighting Mon at the end of last season, again, Annihilape and Primeape starting to become more relevant. They just destroy Pangoro. So, yeah, gonna hopefully be pushed down by those fighters so that this team has more of a chance to thrive. All right, another just a team we could have used last season as well. It's going to be Azumarill with Alolan Sandslash again. Again, Powder Snow, the way you want to go. And then Goodra. So Goodra is going to be the safe swap here. Just has a lot of coverage, just coverage, to be honest. It's a dragon type, so it resists all the elemental types. If you get a grass type in the lead, definitely Goodra and Sandslash are going to be really good against that. But also has differing coverages with the Aqua Tail and the Thunder Punch as well. Azumarill, the same moveset as last season, Bubble, Ice Beam, Play Rough. I saw one Hydro Pump last season, and it definitely caught me off guard, but not something you need to be worried that much about. In fact, I probably wouldn't even be shielding, even if you're like a Firemon. And then we already talked about Alolan Sandslash, but the weaknesses of this team going to be something like Alolan Sandslash as well, because it's going to be good against Azumarill, going to be neutral against itself in the mirror match there, and then really insanely good against Goodra. And then also another thing here is Cresselia, going to have Grass for the Azumarill, going to have Fairy for the Dragon type of Goodra. Now, it's not going to be good against something like Alolan Sandslash here, but really good against your safe swap and your lead. So that's why this team's pretty weak against Cresselia as well. Another thing is Alolan Sandslash not having the Shadow Claw is going to make the matchup a lot weirder against the Cresselia. You still win, but it's going to be not as well. All right, Serperior with double rollout backlines. Now notice no Bibarel here, but it could be Bibarel in any of the slots that I've shown any of the rollout users as well. We have a team later coming up that is showcasing Bibarel, but yeah, Serperior, while I didn't see an uptick in it at the end of last season, I do think that it was very good at the end of last season. It's just very hard counter to the rollout users, even harder against Bibarel, so we might see an uptick there just for people thinking Bibarel's coming. And we saw a ton of teams with the double rollout users. Usually you're safe swapping Dunsparce, but honestly you could safe swap anything. And then one thing about Licky Licky is that, well, I prefer the Shadow Ball moveset. There were actually several people, enough to make it notable, that are running something like Solar Beam, which could definitely catch people off guard in one shot, like a Bibarel. Weaknesses on this team is going to be Primeape. Obviously, it's going to be very good against the two normal types in the back, but it's fine against Serperior. You win CMP. Now, you do have to shield Aerial Ace, even though Aerial Ace is not a great move. Still a flying type attack. It's going to be super effective against the fighting type here. And then, really, your big trouble is going to be Guzzlord. It's going to be very good against Serperior, like insane. And then it wins these matchups in the back, just with basically Dragon Tail being so strong. I really like, I should say, the Sludge Bomb coverage still. I know some people are still running Dragon Claw, but I think Sludge Bomb coverage is going to be very good against things like Azu, which are going to still be around. All right, another team with Serperior on it. Again, I actually really like Serperior. I started using it towards the end of last season, so we're showcasing a lot more of those teams. But one thing to note here is that Clodsire is running Stone Edge. Again, I said there was an uptick in Stone Edge usage, so maybe we're going to be moving back towards that Stone Edge from 2 seasons ago. Serperior, I just mentioned it, very good against the ground types, which you're going to be weak against in the front, and most notably your ABB towards something like Kanto Marowak. So having that good coverage against it is going to be pretty good. The only thing is, if you do safe swap Clodsire into Alolan Marowak, they can shield through it if they want to. Things you're going to be weak against. So Serperior, well, not the weakest. Going with Stone Edge on the Clodsire means that you don't have access to Sludge Bomb, which is going to be super effective against Serperior there. So Frenzy Plant coming in more clutch in those matchups. And then even though you do have Stone Edge, something like this Ice type of Abomasnow isn't going to worry about that too much because it does make it to its moves faster. Now, I do have Icy Wind listed here, but it is perfectly fine and maybe even better to be going Weather Ball. I just wanted to show that it does have access to Icy Wind as well. And then for Alligator's been a safe swap in the last meta and the meta before that as well. So definitely going to still be seeing a lot of that. All right, this is our first Bibarel team, and this is actually all new stuff. So Bibarel with rollout, and we've kind of talked about it a little bit, but going to be really good against something like Feraligatr. And we also have Gliscor here in the back. It's going to have the new move Sand Attack. I think Gliscor is going to be pretty huge in this meta. Now, it does have access to a lot of different charge moves that can be viable, and I don't know which ones are going to be the most viable. So here I decided to just give more coverage with Aerial Ace and then give it a big move of Earthquake. But you could absolutely go for any of the 3 moves with including Night Slash as well, if that is the sort of coverage that you're going to be wanting against something like Galarian Corsola, which is a ghost type. Now, even though I have Galarian Corsola here, I personally don't have one yet. I probably need to be trading. To be honest, I have such a huge head start in the XLs because I do have a lot of Corsola, but I made a regular Corsola a while ago. I say a while ago, like 3 years ago. So that's level 51. So unlucky for me, I used a lot of XLs in that, but I do have a lot of XLs, but I'd have to get a good one at this rate. It can get to level 50. With 0 attack, so gonna have to trade a lot of people. If you go to Pokemon Play local events, that's definitely where you should trade people. Usually your friendship's not that high, or you don't even friend each other and you just go to battle to keep each other off the friends list so you can get the trades in. I know that's what we do, but yeah. It's definitely going to be used a lot. Galarian Corsola is ranked 3 on PV Poke for this season. I personally haven't seen a single one this season. Obviously, it's only been available here in the last week. But, yeah, you're going to see more and more of it as the season goes on, as people get more XLs, as trading gets better, or as people get more trades in, and, yeah, you're going to see it. So, all right. And the last team here, and maybe the first team I will use, actually, if I have a Bibarel, maybe I'll use a Bibarel team, but I don't know. It's going to be Annihilape. Again, Annihilape seeing a huge uptick here in the end. I know I used it here in the last week as well. Very fun mon. Counter still nerfed, but Rage Fist is pretty nice. And in the back, we're going to have 2 anti-fairy, well, not anti-flying necessarily, but you don't really see like things like Skarmory at all anymore. I think I saw 1 in the last few weeks. But I do have Sludge Bomb here on Clodsire just because that's the way I went with it before. But you could have Stone Edge here as well if that ends up being what the trends are going towards and what is actually better. But I have it in there because it's kind of supposed to be anti-fairy. So, and then we have Dunsparce, just a safe swap from last season. Things you're going to be weak against Serperior. Just because you have access to the Aerial Ace against Annihilape, and you're not going to get one shot by anything. Serperior is very bulky, so you're going to be able to get more moves off there. And then obviously it's extremely good against Dunsparce. Malamar, also something that's very scary, especially if they have a high attack weighted one. It's going to be able to just burn through Annihilape with shields. And then if it is that high attack weight one, you're going to do a ton of damage with the Psy Wave against a poison type of Clodsire. And you have access to Superpower against Dunsparce, so that's going to be it. There's a ton of teams. The lists where I have gotten the teams from in the past, their list was like 15 more mon, but I'm not going to showcase like 22 teams. That would be just overkill. But maybe I'll put a link to where I got that from in the comments below, in the description below. And yeah, new season. Remember to use your star piece at 3 CST, 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. Although I guess we're in CDT right now for Daylight Savings Time. Yeah, make sure to use the star piece, get those extra rewards for the end of season rewards last season. And hopefully this season starts off well for y'all. Let me know what teams y'all are going to be using, if you're all going to be using any of the new mon. And I'll catch y'all in the next one. Subscribe. Hey, thank you for watching the video. And if you want to continue to support me, definitely click that subscribe button. You'll see any content coming out, and if you want another video on this same league for some more tips and tricks to other teams, check that video out right there, and I'll see you in the next one.